G'day everyone, welcome back to another tools and stuff review, or if this is your first time, just welcome I guess. Today on the bench, the Milwaukee M12 Planer. So I'll tell you the features and specs of this thing, I'll show you it doing some cuts, and then I'll tell you a bit more about each particular thing that needs talking about. So let's get on with it. It is 56mm wide, or just over 2 inches. It has a groove in the base for putting a bevel or chamfer on your timber. It has a maximum cutting depth of 2mm going up in 0.1mm increments. It has a dust chute on both sides of the tool. Just flick a lever and it will do it whichever side you want. The tool has 2 blades, but also storage on the back with 2 more blades and a tool for changing those blades. And those blades spin at 14,500 RPM. It has a kickstand in the base that is spring loaded, so you can just pop it in and lock it back in place. Has a battery indicator on the tool. It weighs 1.6 kgs without a battery. It comes with 2 attachments in this part of the world. This one goes on your tool so that you can extract dust, and this is a hose attachment to fit over said dust chute. In this part of the world, the model number is the M12 BLP, brushless planer, and if you are in the US, it is 2524. And if you've come to this video just to see if this is better than the M18 version, well, you can stop watching right now, because I'll tell you it is. Right, let's go planing. No cut. 0.1. So I just showed you a few of the depth settings there. You'll be pleased to know that on 0, this thing does not take any material off, unlike the M18. So they've managed to get the dial a bit better on this than they did on the M18 version. And it turns and clicks nicely, nice and easy. Works perfect. But once you are cutting at a depth over about 1.5mm, you will notice, as you will have seen in the video, that the dust chute clogs up pretty damn easily. You need to go quite slow if you don't want it to clog up. So I've found if you're doing passes of 2mm, as well as going slow, you are best off hooking it up to a vacuum to suck that stuff away, and then it seems to work fine. And also, when you are using it on the full depth, we take a look there, 2 bars showing. That was on 4. This was freshly charged battery when I started doing those last cuts. I did about, I don't know how many passes I did, half a dozen on a piece of timber that was only 600, couple of feet long, and it's already sucked half the life out of this thing. So when it's on 2mm and you're pushing this thing to its maximum, that battery will get the living daylight sucked out of it. If you've got it on a more reasonable sort of depth setting that the tool isn't struggling with, say like 0.5 millimeter, then much better, much better. The battery life is much longer. But under heavy load, it will suck that battery juice. Let's see what it's like now with a vacuum attached to it. So that was 2mm depth of cut against the grain. The M18 wouldn't have been able to do that. So much less cloggage when you have a vac hooked up. It's quite an ingenious little clip, this thing, and even the adjustment for flicking from left to right is quite cool. Just easy on the front there, just flick it side to side. Couldn't be much simpler, works well. This you'll see has a little clip on the base here, and it has a special groove on the tool that it slides into. So you slide it in from the front and it will click into place, and when you want to release, push down on the little lever and then slide it back off again. And that of course works on both sides of the tool. You just flip it up the other way, bang, nice and easy, bang. But you're not going to be using dust extraction, real quick and easy to take off. Might be a bit quick and easy to lose though too, unfortunately. So as you can see, we've got a bit of a dip in the piece of timber here, so this will take another few passes just to sort that out. How'd that go battery wise? Still on 4 bars. That was a fresh 6 amp hour battery at the start of that. So overall it's a good little tool, but I'll just tell you some of the things I like and dislike about it. Let's get that out of there. It goes through the battery real quick, but that doesn't worry me too much. So it's not the sort of thing you're going to plane all day with, really. If you're going to be straightening out a heap of walls or something, then you're more likely to use a bigger planer, you know, an 82mm planer rather than this one. But this is great because it's small and light. It'd be nice if it had like a belt hook on it, so you can just have it on your belt, because this would be perfect just on your tool belt when you're, say, up on rafters or something. You just want to maybe just take a nick off something. You can just whip this out, quick little pass, and you're done. Chuck it back on the belt. All depends on what you do for a crust, of course. The little kickstand, I love the little kickstand. Just being able to slide it in like that. I wish more companies had ones like that, because these little kickstands piss me off. They get in the way, they break, just a bit of a pain. So that's great that you can just pop that to the side like so. This here with the blades in, which are carbide blades, I might add. They've got carbide in them, so they're meant to last a bit longer, hitting things like very small nails or staples. It's cool that there's blades on here, and it's cool that you get 2 sets with the tool. So you get the set that's on it and you get that replacement set in there. They're double-sided, so you get basically 4 sets of blades, you could say. But it's a little bit loose, and I'm just afraid that you're planing up all the time, and it could easily sort of drop out. It doesn't take much for it to just be loose and fall out. Not a huge deal, but I imagine you'll see quite a few of them around soon that don't have those in them. Just remembered something I haven't yet filmed to show you in the video, and that is how deep you can rebate. It's pretty good. It's pretty darn good for such a small little tool. A lot of planers only rebate to about 7mm, 9mm, somewhere around there. You can get the Makitas, of course, which will go up to 25. There's very low profile on this side too. You can't get flush up against something, but you can get pretty close within about 3/8 of an inch, 10mm. But also you can rebate about 17 or 18mm. I haven't actually checked the depth yet. For the rebate test, we will use a 2 amp hour battery, which is freshly charged. We'll do 1mm passes. Let's go. Wait a minute, we're getting wider every time. So the issue I had there was the blade sticks out the side a little bit on the drum, and so it was cutting the side here every time and just making this thinner and thinner. So you've got to be careful with that. It really needs a fence if you're going to do that rabbit like that. So yeah, rebating, rabbiting, just be aware you are going to be cutting that side if you try and line it up hard up against that every time. Chamfer works great. And I'll just now show you the tool running, cutting with that side of the drum, like I just said. So I'm not even going to put the plate on the timber. It's going to be next to it, like so. As you can see, the blade sticking out the side of the drum has sliced a path all the way along, 17.8mm deep. So we're down to one light with that 2 amp hour battery, so choose through it pretty quick. What you just saw has almost depleted that one battery already. So if you're going to do a ton of planing with this thing, you're going to need a ton of batteries to go with it. What else did I want to tell you about this thing? Oh, the trigger. So it is a Milwaukee, so unfortunately, M12 tools seem to have awful triggers and handle designs, so it's got that bulbous, uncomfortable handle that Milwaukee M12 tools often have. They've got it quite nice and thin there. It's not too bad in the shape, but it does have this hideous trigger here. So to use it, you have to flick this in before you can pull the trigger. So it's a safety feature. I get it, I understand, you need safety features. At planers, if you pick them up and you accidentally touch that and the blade's like up against your leg or anything like that, or up against a workpiece, whatever, it's not a good outcome. But this safety switch is horrible. I would have far preferred some sort of button here on the side, a little trigger down with your thumb or a push in with your thumb, than this thing. Because it's a little bit awkward. I mean, you get used to it, but you got to sort of flick it up and then pull the trigger. It's sort of a bit weird, and it's just damn uncomfortable. That is the problem, as with so many Milwaukee switch areas. I would love Milwaukee tools so much more if they had decent hand grips and decent triggers, decent areas where the switches and triggers are that don't cut into your fingers, because this area here is so sharp. You push that in, but all around it is just, it's horrible. It's just horrible. Something to work on, Milwaukee, for the next one. Just put a thing there, say boom, your thumb goes in the side, touches it, and you then just push the trigger. You don't need this silly little flap. done a super good job. A little bit of a ridge on that pass. The rest of it feels pretty smooth. That's a little bit of a ridge there. But yeah, give that a go over with a random orbital sander and it'll be good to go. All hooked up to the dust extractor, so no mess. Down 1 bar on the battery. Happy with that. In Lawson's Cypress, which by the way just smells amazing. This tool is great if you don't do too much planing or you don't want to lug around a massive big heavy 18 volt or 36 volt version of a planer. This makes planing light and easily accessible to more people. And if you're interested in small light M12 tools, I've also got the review of this nibbler coming up. I love this thing. This thing is very, very cool. Yeah, great little tool. Both of those were given to me by Milwaukee for review purposes. So I like this little thing. It's fairly accurate for what it is, and it's more accurate than the M18, so that's good. It does struggle with pushing out the chips though with that. If you're doing deep cuts, I'd recommend using this thing as a 1mm pass tool or less. 2mm it can do, but you've got to either go super slow so it doesn't clog up, or make sure you've got a really good vac going on it so that you can do those deeper passes, and of course also have plenty of batteries for that. But it's a great little tool to add to the M12 lineup. There's some really cool M12 stuff around now. Milwaukee seem to just keep making cooler and cooler little M12 tools like that, and that nibbler that I showed you just a moment ago. Very nifty little tools with plenty of power, and they're now getting good features on them. This has got some good features, this has got some good features. So yeah, they're cool little tools. I wish they would work on the comfort and the hand grip and the trigger areas a bit more. But apart from that, it is a great little tool. And that's that. I guess I'll see you on another one soon. Cheers, guys.